Hey everyone, I hope everyone's doing well. This is Jacqueline. It's been a while. It's been 5 months since I've made a video. Yikes, huh? Yeah, lots happened. Of course, COVID-19 has happened, and, lots of other things have gone down, and it seems like our whole worlds have flipped upside down, but I'm hoping that things are somewhat coming back to like a normal, a little bit of normalcy now, even though the numbers are skyrocketing. And I've been working 2 months back at the hair salon. I was out for 2 months. I've been back at work for 2 months now, and let me tell you, that time that I had off was like nothing. Like, I felt like I had no time off. I think I was just so busy, and anyway, so right now I've been incredibly busy, busier than I've ever been in my career, and work is I've got a lot more responsibilities. We have less people working there, and so I've been incredibly busy lately. But anyway, aside from that, like, I've been well. I was really sad because I didn't get to go to the gym when time was off, and I finally just started getting back into the flow of that. I'm actually going today because rumor has it that they might be closing down again, so I'm going after I'm done with this. And anyway, so life has been weird and strange in every way. My boyfriend and I are doing great. We are still together and doing very well, and pretty happy. We're driving down to Atlanta this weekend to sell a couple of paintings of his, and someone wanted to buy them down there, and he's had a hard time. He owns a bar here, and bars are, they're open, but it's just really for food, and most people aren't coming in to hang out and drink like they usually do. They can't do karaoke, so it's one of those things where he's had a tough time, so he's selling his art to make ends meet. So this room has changed a little bit, I think. This is now my art station, where it's a mess. I've been doing sculpting and casting and whatnot, and silicone resin and airbrushing. My whole airbrush system set up right there, and then I still have my bicycle and my old television behind that I've got to get set up. This room, I swear, I always have to have one room in my house that's just messy. Anyway, so as far as I've been doing really well. I've been really getting into indoor plants. I've got a lot now. I think I got like 26 or 27 indoor plants, and I've been going to a lot of nurseries and getting some really weird plants, and it's been a really good time. I find them quite refreshing, and I've rearranged my house a bit. So yeah, things have been pretty good. So I have a topic I want to discuss. I didn't want to talk too much about myself today. I've done plenty of that in the past. But today I have an interesting topic. And I only really make videos when something comes up that I feel is relevant. I'm not just going to make video after video after video. It's like just trying to find a topic. Mine is more, I'm not interested in making revenue or anything like that. I thought for a minute I was, but I don't have time for it. I'm too busy with my work. So what I'm trying to do is really just discuss topics that affect trans women and get them, maybe different insights. And most of the time my points are quite controversial, like my last video where I said, if you're going to be transgender, if you are going to transition, you have to put the work into the transition. You can't just wake up one day and expect society to accept you, because that's not going to be the way it is. You have to somewhat fit in. I mean, that's just the reality of it in our time. And so that was my last video, and of course lots of people disagree, some people really agree. It's just a different viewpoint. So I'm going to talk about something today that is going to be similar but different at the same time. So this is womb transplant. So have trans women having children of their own, having babies of their own. And it's really interesting because someone I dated a while ago, she wanted to have babies of her own, and I just never really saw the interest. I don't think I would ever want to have a child. If I was going to have a child, I would obviously adopt. I would want to adopt. There wouldn't even be a question. Because I kind of see having children as the same as having purebred dogs or adopting dogs. Like, you're going to love them the same regardless of what you think about them, It's whether or not it's yours genetically or either way. That's kind of how I feel about it. So there is an article that came out, and a trans man that I know had posted it on Facebook, and it was about having womb transplants and having trans women having their own babies, and this consists of having an egg transferred into you, or semen from someone else, and a womb transplant. So it's not your womb either. So it's not your womb, it's not your egg, it's not your semen, and in the end, it's really not even your genetics. I'm not sure if that's accurate, because none of those things are yours. So they are someone else's. So it wouldn't technically be your genetics. It wouldn't be your child, but you would be feeding it. This is all a lot. So you would be feeding the child and growing it inside you, and then giving birth, and you would have to have a C-section because you would have to have a C-section because our hips aren't, for 99% of trans women, our hips aren't designed for giving birth, and especially after having a surgery, getting your SRS or any of those things, there's going to be massive scar tissue. Things aren't going to be the same. They're not going to be able to stretch the same. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of complications that go into that, but when I decided to look at the comments on this post, all these trans women were just, oh yes, I need this. This is exactly, this answers all my prayers, or something like that. And I was like going through all these things, and most of these trans women haven't even taken the basic steps into living their daily life as women. They are, back to my last post that I made 5 months ago, none of them, there was multiple that had beards, and multiple that are just cross-dressing. They're not even taking hormone therapy, and now they want womb transplants to carry their own children. And to me, there's lots in this community that just needs to be called out, but this shit's getting whack. And people would say that's conservative, or say I'm close-minded. Someone I know, a trans woman I know that I respect and I'm friends with, she had commented on this post and said, oh, I'm too old for this now, but how lucky they are in the future to be able to give birth. And I'm like, these aren't even your babies. None of these things are yours. The womb's not yours, the egg's not yours, the semen's not yours. And if you were dating someone and you had to go through this process, you would have to plan it just right at the right time, or you wouldn't even be able to. It would be artificial insemination, probably, in a womb that isn't yours to begin with, because you're not going to grow your own natural womb. So what does this boil down to, in my opinion? I don't think it's as simple as trans women wanting to be able to have babies. I don't think that's what it is. And what this boils down to, and this is where the controversial bit comes in with my view and my opinion, trans women lack validation. They lack validation a lot. We want validation in every way we possibly can. We want validation from our family. We want validation from the person who loves us. We want validation from our friends. We want validation from society, from our government. We want everybody else to accept us, and we want everyone to accept us on our terms. Like, you better not say dude around me because that offends me. Even if you're directing it to me or not, if you say dude, it's offensive. And it's terminology, specific terminology is offensive. And we have to pussyfoot around things to make sure that we don't offend someone's pronouns, even if they're not taking hormone therapy or transitioning or living their life this way. It's like they've jumped on this thing, and now they feel like they're involved, and now everybody has to change their terminology and whatnot to fit their identity, whether or not they put work into that identity or not. And so to me, it seems like the trans community, most of the time, is looking for validation from everywhere and everything except for themselves. And that, which is the only place you're going to get validation. You are not going to get validation from your friends. You're not going to get validation from your family. You're not going to get validation from the person you date, no matter how many times they sleep with you or how many times they have great times with you or whatever. You cannot expect validation from society. You cannot expect validation from anyone except yourself. Because the only person that's going to give you validation is you. And if you are expecting validation from other people, or other people using correct terminology, or other people looking at you and go, look, they had their own baby, they are definitely a woman now. If you're expecting that from other people, you are setting yourself up for an extremely difficult life. I don't look for validation. I think I've put my work in. I expect validation in different ways. And that validation is in, I better be referred to as a woman, because I know I'm a woman. And if someone doesn't refer to me as a woman, or if someone doesn't accept me as a woman, then I want them out of my life. That includes family members. I've done it before. I mean, when I transitioned, I basically told my mother, if she doesn't accept me, then that's that. Family members and whatnot. I just can't abide that, because I know I'm a woman. And I think that sense of confidence comes from within. It comes from nowhere else. I mean, when I first started transitioning in 2008, I had no validation from YouTubers. People on YouTube were very scared, and there were people who just kind of talked about some things and hardships they have, but there was no proper hormone therapy or legality. There was none of these things. And those things come from people exposing themselves and living as the gender that they are. So me living as a woman, me doing people's hair and living my life, and my level of personal validation bleeds out into the people around me. I think my family mostly accepts me now. I think they don't really think about it anymore, because they know they're not going to get anywhere if they didn't. If they didn't accept me, then I probably wouldn't speak to them anymore. And I would tell them to piss, and I would think so little of them for not accepting me that it wouldn't even make me sad. It would be like disappointing, if my family didn't accept me. So they realized they had no wiggle room. They had no way to try and have a middle ground with me. So I wasn't going to give them the opportunity for that. If my parents didn't accept me, then I would tell them to piss off, fuck off. That's just the way it is. So when it comes to trans people, it's with womb transplants and all this other stuff, and the way society is now, they're looking for validation from everywhere except for within. And then when they're left alone and they don't have people to validate them, they're very unstable and have a hard time. And to me, that is why a lot of people look at us as though we have a mental disorder, because we are looking for validation from everywhere except for from within. I don't need anyone to validate me. I know I'm a woman. I know that, and I know the steps that I have to live my life. I have to be on medication. There's no way that I couldn't be. I wear the clothes I wear because I know I'm a woman. I can wear a full men's outfit. It doesn't change anything. And people are not going to look at me in a full men's outfit and go, that's a man. They're going to look at me and go, that's a woman in a blazer or a tie or whatever. It's because I'm already a woman. Even when I didn't pass, before I transitioned and I had no surgery or anything, and I had a full beard, I did the work I had to do. I lasered my beard off. I did the steps I needed to do, and I brought myself to the table, and I put my foot down, and that was that. So, blind acceptance is something we have in this community, where we just expect everyone and everything to just blindly accept us. And I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't matter if you give birth to a child that's not even yours, because it's not your womb or your egg or your semen. It doesn't matter that's not going to make you a woman. Giving birth to a child doesn't make you a woman. Having breasts doesn't make you a woman. Doing all these things to validate yourself, getting a vagina before you've even lived as a woman for years, doesn't make you a woman. So I think we are in a very interesting time right now, where we have a lot of non-binary people. We have a lot of people trying to justify themselves. And I do think that a lot of non-binary issues and non-binary people have come from not putting the I don't want to say not from lack of passing, from social society acceptance, from middle of the ground sort of thing. I don't know if that's going to be offensive to people. I mean, there's no way that it can't be me saying those words. But for me, it's like I don't have time for anyone else if they don't accept me, so I don't expect them to. And most of the time, I actually don't expect anyone to accept me. So I think that it's time that we start doing some self-acceptance instead of expecting things from the outside to accept us, because they're not going to. They're never going to. There's no amount of surgery. There's no amount of how beautiful you could look. There's no amount of anything. No matter how, like children, there's no amount of anything that's going to make you a woman when you already are one. So that's my little thing today. Anyway. And of course, we have lots of other stuff happening in life with Black Lives Matter and so on and so forth, which I'm fully behind. And as a white South African, in America, I'm ashamed of my ancestors. I'm ashamed of what they stood for. I'm ashamed of all their history. And I feel like I have a lot of learning to do as a white South African. I feel like everyone in this country, white Americans, are such an embarrassment with their entitlement and so on and so forth. And these white people have been in their houses for way too long. They're acting psycho in public when they have to wear a mask and they have to go. It's like crazy. And it's nuts. We're at a wild time. But anyway, I thought I could throw a little topic in there that isn't involved with all those things and just give a different viewpoint. I hope everyone's well. And I hope you're all being safe and following all the rules and doing what you gotta do to make it. And that's that. Anyway, this is the end of the video. So you guys have a good day. Bye.